Dear friends, English literature, Introduction to Drama, The Lion and the Jewel by Ol Schwenka. Short questions with answers. Short questions 26 to 31. Question 26. Discuss The Lion and the Jewel as a satiric comedy. Answer. Satiric comedy ridicules violations of moral and social standards. It focuses on criticizing the values or actions of people or a certain situation. In The Lion and the Jewel, there are instances where the comedy is highly satiric. In the play, Schwenka ridicules the violations of moral or social standards. Lecunault is ridiculed for his hollow modernization by rejecting the African culture. He is also ridiculed as he does not want to pay the bride price. Mocking humor is directed at the modern ideals through the character of Lecunault. He believes that women are inferior because they have smaller brains according to his modern studies, and that things like the bride price are demeaning and barbaric. Although he is not attempting to be funny, the situation is mockingly funny, as Lecunault's beliefs are so drastically different from what we visualize now as modern ideals. In the play, traditionalism is also satirized through the character of Barocca. The more traditional characters, namely Sidi, refuse to adapt to modern concepts. Barocca represents tradition, but when the modernist ideals are presented with a sense of power and deception behind them, Barocca utilizes the modern ideals, such as the stamp machine, for his personal satisfaction, greed, adultery, and lust. All these are found in a satiric comedy. In The Lion and the Jewel, Lecunault is greedy for money as he repeatedly tries to avoid bride price. Barocca possesses lust for both power and woman. Thus, we can term the play a satiric comedy. Question 27. Who is the protagonist in the play The Lion and the Jewel? Answer. Protagonist is the character in a literary work around whom the story is centered. He or she is the central character or main character. A protagonist is faced with a conflict that must be resolved. In The Lion and the Jewel, Sidi is the protagonist because the plot of the play revolves around her. She is the central character because both Lecunault and Barocca want to marry her. She is the only dynamic character in the play. After seeing her pictures in the magazine, she becomes an arrogant character and begins to think of herself as more important than both Lecunault and Barocca. She is faced with a conflict when she plans to trick Barocca, who is the antagonist of the play. She plots against him after finding out about his impotency from Sadiko. But when she goes to humiliate him, he impedes her goal by manipulating her. Some critics think that Lecunault is the protagonist of The Lion and the Jewel, but Lecunault does not play the dominant role. He has the objective of introducing a more modernized outlook for the village in order to bring the inhabitants greater benefits. His goal is to get rid of the bride price and only allow for one wife for rich men, so that women are treated with respect instead of as property. He wants to marry Sidi and comes into conflict with Barocca, who in this case would be seen as the antagonist. But Lecunault cannot be considered the protagonist in the play because the story does not revolve around him. Question 28. Who is the antagonist in The Lion and the Jewel? Answer. Antagonist refers to opponent, competitor, or rival. Antagonist is a character or a group of characters or force or situation that opposes the protagonist. In other words, the antagonist is an obstacle that the protagonist must overcome. In The Lion and the Jewel, Baroka is the antagonist. He is 62 years old and has many wives. He is greedy for power and women. He cannot be seen as the antagonist because he opposes any methods of modernizing the village. He believes that the introduction of Western values and practices can destroy the culture of the village. He foils the building of a railway through illegally by bribing the white surveyor with a wad pile of pound notes, cola nuts, a coop building of hens and a goat. In the play, he blocks both Lekunul city and even Sadiko. If we see Lekunul as the protagonist, then Baroka disrupts Lekunul's goal of marrying Sidi by manipulating and marrying her. If we take Sidi as the protagonist, then Baroka tricks her and impedes her ability to humiliate him. Lastly, if we choose Sadiko, he once again disrupts her goal of celebrating his impotence by proving that he still has his manhood. In conclusion, all the goals of the characters are disrupted by Baroka, which make him the antagonist. Question 29. Comment on the use of costumes in The Lion and the Jewel. Answer. The costumes in The Lion and the Jewel function to show the contrasting different personalities within the characters and to demonstrate the significant difference in culture. Sid is wrapped with a piece of broadcloth which is folded just above her breasts, leaving the shoulders bare. Sid's costume is very traditional. It is a simple cloth and very typical to young African women at that time. She represents her culture directly through her dress. Lekunul scolds her for not covering her shoulders and tells her that a grown-up girl should cover off her shoulders. He tells her that she has worn her cloth, leaving her shoulders bare in such a manner that a good portion of her breasts can be seen. This emphasizes urbanity when Baroka is in his bed with his current favorite, Eilato. He is almost naked because he wears baggy, loose trousers which are only calf length. He is seen wearing very organic clothing. It is loose and natural, which represents his remaining youth and vitality as well as his agility. At wrestling, Lekunul is dressed in an old-style English suit, clean but not ironed. His tie is done in a very small knot. He wears 23-inch bottom trousers and Blanco white tennis shoes. Very obviously, he is dressed differently. He portrays the modern society that is trying to be imposed upon the African village. He looks ridiculous to the African village, but also probably ridiculous to the Western world because of his ill-fitting suit. Thus, Lekunul's dress is influenced by the Western culture. On the other hand, other characters such as Sidi and Baroka dress in very traditional styles, which represent their value of African culture. Question 30. Why is The Lion and the Jewel divided into morning, noon, and night? Answer. The Lion and the Jewel is divided into three sections: morning, noon, and night. Morning. The opening scene includes exposition which introduces Sidi and Lekunul to the audience. Morning also exposes two conflicts, one between Legunal and Sidi, as Legunal wants to marry do not agree to pay the bride price, and the other between Beroka and Legunal, when Beroka accuses Legunal of stealing the village maidenhead. These conflicts in morning represent the start of rising action. Question and next, noon. What is about noon? At the beginning of noon, Sadiko tries to convince Sidi to become Beroka's wife. Sidi does not accept the proposal because after publishing her image in the magazine, she begins to consider herself more important than Beroka. This represents the rising action of the play. Night. In night, the rising action continues. Learning from Sadiko that Beroka has lost his manhood, Sidi goes to humiliate him, but he manages to seduce her, which is the climax of the play. After being seduced, she returns to the village square, sobbing, and tells Legunal and Sadiko that Beroka has seduced her. This is the falling action of the play. Legunal then offers to marry Sidi, but she chooses to marry Beroka instead. This is how the play ends, and this marriage is the resolution of the play. Thus, instead of organizing into acts and scenes, the play is divided into morning, noon, and night, because the play progresses in a chronological order over the course of a day. Furthermore, the play's plot runs congruently with the movement of the sun. Exposition in the morning, rising action during noon, and the climax, falling action, and resolution during night. These titles of the scenes in the play could also represent the cultural significance of the sun in Nigeria. Question 31. Discuss the animal imagery in The Lion and the Jewel. Answer. Men in Yoruba land describe their deeds using the imagery of animals with which bravery is associated. An elephant for instance, is associated with wealth or power. A tortoise, cunning. A lion, bravery. Beroka is nicknamed the lion, which is called the king of all animals. Shwenka calls Beroka the lion to signify his royal title. This is a reference to his days as a young, powerful, and intrepid warrior. It alludes to his strength and supremacy. He is also called the fox because he is sly and cunning. Thus, his nickname is also suggestive of Beroka's sexual behavior. He is a predator when it comes to women. When Sidi tells Legunal that people of Illusionly call him the madman of Illusionly, and even the children call him a fool, Legunal says, "What a jewel to pigs." Here, the beauty and preciousness of the jewel contrast with the filthiness of the pigs. Thus, Legunal feels that the villagers whom he considers savages cannot possibly appreciate his oath. In the play, the motor car is called Devil's Own Horse, which highlights the tension between tradition and modernity. The motor car is made familiar by being compared to an animal horse. When Elito is plucking hairs from Beroka's armpit, he tells her that he is going to take another wife that night. It angers her, and she protests it by deliberately plucking the next few hairs a lot harder. Beroka then compares her act to the scorpion's sudden sting. This simile reveals that the favorite is angered by what Beroka has just told her. After being seduced by Beroka, Sidi returns to the village square, sobbing, and tells Legunal and Sadiko that Beroka has seduced her. She calls Beroka the cunning frog. The frog is a symbol of fertility, which is why CD references it. She previously believed that Baroka had lost his manhood, but unfortunately discovers that this is not the case. Animals thus are frequently referenced when the characters are talking about personality or behavior. Thank you friends for watching my video.